The morning sun was bright, but inside the tall glass building of Armin Industries, the air felt cold and heavy. People rushed in and out of the lobby. Computers beeped, phones rang, and workers hurried to start their day. But on the very top floor, behind a large wooden door, something strange was about to happen. Something that would shake the heart of the most powerful man in the company, Mr. Armin. The CEO entered his office at exactly 7 a.m., just like every day. He liked to arrive early, before the noise of meetings and reports began. He believed mornings were peaceful. But today, the peace did not come. His face looked tired, his eyes were red from another sleepless night, and his shoulders felt heavy. From the pressure of running a massive company, even his morning coffee tasted bitter. He sat down in his big chair, opened his laptop, and prepared to start the day. He had many contracts to review, many problems to solve, and many people waiting for his decisions. His schedule was full, and his mind was already stressed. But then a soft knock came from the door. His assistant, Sarah, stepped inside, looking more nervous than usual. She held something in her hands, something small, something unexpected. "Sir," she said slowly, "this arrived for you." Armin didn't look up at first. "Emails come to my inbox." "You can leave it on the desk." "No, sir," Sarah whispered. "It's not an email. It's a letter." A letter. Armin finally looked up, confused. People did not send him letters. They sent reports, proposals, presentations, numbers, not letters. Especially not handwritten ones. Sarah walked closer and placed a small pink envelope on the table. It looked almost out of place in his modern, high-tech office. The envelope was crumpled at the edges, as if it had traveled far. There was a little sticker of a star on one corner. And the handwriting was shaky. Like a child had written it. Armin stared at it. "Who sent this?" he asked. "A little girl, sir," Sarah answered. "She came to the front desk early this morning. She said the letter is urgent. She said, you must read it today." Armin felt something strange in his chest. A child. Why would a child write to him? He slowly picked up the envelope. It was extremely light, as if it only held a few words, but the moment he touched it, he felt a heaviness inside a heaviness he couldn't explain. On the front, written in simple letters, were the words, "Please read. It's very urgent." Armin placed his thumb on the seal, but did not open it yet. Something made him stop. This was unusual. This felt personal, and he didn't like surprises. He cleared his throat. "Did she say anything else?" Sarah nodded. "Only one thing, sir," she said. "He will understand," and then she left quickly. She seemed scared, or maybe worried. Armin froze. He will understand. Understand what? He slowly leaned back in his chair, the envelope still in his hand. His office suddenly felt smaller, the air heavier. He could hear his own heartbeat. Something about the letter felt familiar, even though he didn't know why. For a few seconds, he simply stared at it. "What should I do, sir?" Sarah asked quietly. Armin gave a slow, uncertain sigh. "Thank you. Leave it here. I'll look at it." But when she left and closed the door, he didn't move. He didn't open the letter. He didn't put it down. He just sat there, the pink envelope resting in his palm, as memories rushed into his mind like a cold wind. He remembered himself as a young boy, sitting beside his mother, watching her cry quietly because she couldn't pay the rent. He remembered how alone they felt, how helpless. Why did this letter make that memory return? Why now, after all these years? He shook his head, trying to focus on work, but he couldn't. His eyes kept returning to the envelope. After 10 long minutes, he finally closed his laptop. Something inside whispered, "Open it." But just as he began to lift the flap, his phone rang loudly. He jumped slightly, startled. The screen flashed with a major client's name. $1 million deal depended on this call. He stared at the ringing phone, then at the letter, then at the phone again. His heart felt like it was being pulled in two directions: business and something deeper, something painful, something human. At the last moment, he let the phone ring. He picked up the envelope instead. Slowly, with shaking fingers, he opened the flap and pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. The handwriting was uneven. There were tiny smudges on the paper, maybe from small fingers nervously holding a pencil. He opened the letter, and the very first line made his breath catch in his throat. "Sir, I am very sorry to disturb you, but I need your help. It is about my mama." Armand's heartbeat quickened. His eyes narrowed. A strange cold fear ran through him. What kind of help? Why him? And why did reading these words feel like someone was touching an old wound he had tried to forget? He leaned forward, his hands trembling slightly. "Who are you, little girl?" he whispered as he continued reading. His expression slowly changed from confusion to concern, to something deeper, something he had not felt in years. And by the time he reached the last line, his hands had gone completely still. The quiet morning in the CEO's office was over. The peace had been broken. This letter, this small, simple letter, had just changed everything while the CEO sat in his tall building reading the letter. Miles away in a small corner of the city, the little girl who wrote it, Miro, was starting her day too. But her morning looked nothing like the shiny office and bright lights of Arman Industries. To her, home was tiny, old, and quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the kind that comes from fear and worry. The roof leaked when it rained. The walls were cracked, and the kitchen shelves were almost empty. But Mira didn't complain. She never did. She had one important job: take care of Mama. Every morning, Mira woke up before the sun. She folded her thin blanket, brushed her hair with her small fingers, and tiptoed to the other side of the room where her mother slept. Today was no different. But when she touched her mother's forehead, her heart dropped. Her mother was burning with fever. "Mama?" Mira whispered, shaking her gently. Her mom tried to smile, but her lips trembled. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just tired." But Mira wasn't a baby anymore. She had seen her mother faint 2 times in 1 week. She had seen her cough until she could not breathe. She had heard her crying at night, thinking Mira was asleep. "No, Mama, you are not fine," Mira whispered inside her heart. Her mother tried to stand up, but her legs shook. She almost fell, and Mira rushed to catch her. "Small weight, Mama. It's okay. I just need tea." But Mira knew the truth. Her mother needed medicine. She needed rest. She needed a miracle, and that miracle was nowhere in sight. The letter that carried hope. On the old table in the corner lay the remains of Mira's courage: a pink envelope wrapper, a broken pencil, and a scrap of newspaper with a man's picture on it. The man was wearing a suit. He was smiling confidently. Below his picture was the name, Mr. Arman, CEO of Arman Industries. Most people ignored that newspaper. But Mira didn't. She had looked at the picture for a long time before writing the letter. Something about the man's eyes made her trust him. "He looks kind," she had whispered. "He looks like someone who can help Mama." Her mother didn't know she wrote the letter. Her mother didn't know she delivered it to the tall building in the early morning before school. But Mira didn't care about rules or fear. When someone you love is slipping away, you do anything, even if you're only 9 years old. The walk to school. After helping her mother lie back down, Mira put on her old school uniform. The shirt was faded, the shoes were torn. But she didn't complain. She walked alone to school, her small feet moving slowly along the dusty road. Children ran past her laughing. Cars zoomed by. She didn't notice any of it. Her mind was only thinking one thing: did he read my letter? With every step, she imagined the moment. Maybe he opened the envelope. Maybe he smiled. Maybe he understood. Maybe he was already coming to help. But then fear whispered inside her. What if he threw it away? What if he didn't see it? What if he doesn't care? Her small hands tightened around the strap of her school bag. She didn't know what else to do. She didn't have anyone else to ask. Her father was gone. Her relatives lived far away. Her teachers were kind but poor. Her mother was too proud to ask for help, so she asked a stranger. A powerful stranger. A stranger she hoped had a heart. Meanwhile, the CEO's reaction back in his office. The letter trembled in Armin's hands. Every sentence echoed inside him, like a heartbeat. Every word felt like a knife opening old wounds. He didn't know this girl. He didn't know her mother. He didn't know her story, but he felt it. Her words reminded him of something he spent his whole life trying to forget. His own childhood. His own mother. His own nights of hunger and fear. The letter was not just a request for help. It was a mirror to his past, and he couldn't look away. He stood up suddenly, his chair rolling back. He pressed a button on his desk. "Sarah," he said sharply. "Yes, sir. Find this girl." "Sir, do you want security?" "No, I will go myself." Sarah froze. The CEO never left the office for personal matters. Never, but today was different. Very different. Armin grabbed the letter and walked out without another word. Today, he wasn't a CEO. He was a man who felt a small voice calling him a voice. He could not ignore back to Mira. A small sign of hope in school. Mira sat by the window, staring at the sky. Her classmates laughed, studied, played games. But she kept looking outside. She didn't know the CEO was already on his way. She didn't know her life was about to change. She didn't know someone, somewhere, was whispering the same words she whispered this morning. "Hold on, little girl, I'm coming." The world had no idea, but a powerful man and a powerless child were now connected by one small letter. Destiny had just started moving. The elevator doors closed behind Armin. But his heart was beating too fast for a man who usually stayed calm in every crisis. He had faced business wars, billion-dollar losses, angry investors. But none of that made his hands shake the way this little letter did, as the elevator moved down floor by floor. He kept reading the same line again and again. "Sir, please help my mama. I don't know what to do." Those words felt heavier than any business problem he ever had. When the elevator reached the ground floor, the guards and workers stood straighter. They had never seen the CEO looking so disturbed. He walked fast, too fast for someone known for his controlled, slow steps. Sarah ran behind him, holding a tablet. "Sir, we checked the visitor log. The girl came at 6:15 a.m. Her name is not listed." "Why?" he asked without stopping. She didn't know how to sign the form, sir. She was too small." Armin's jaw tightened. A child too young to sign her name. Carrying a letter too heavy for her age. He pushed open the main glass door and stepped outside. The city was waking up. Cars honked, people rushed, vendors called out, but none of it touched him. Today, his mind had only one mission. "Find Mira, the clue no one expected, sir." Sarah said, catching up. "We found something else." Armin stopped. A security camera caught her leaving the building. She handed him a tablet showing a small girl in an oversized uniform walking out slowly, holding her school bag like it was the only thing she owned. "She looks scared," Armin whispered. "She keeps looking back, maybe hoping someone would come after her." He clenched his teeth. No child should walk with eyes full of fear. Then something caught his attention in the video. A small ribbon in her hair, pink, slightly old. but neatly tied. His heart twisted. She's trying so hard to look normal. He whispered. Sarah nodded. She went left from the building, probably toward a bus stop or school. Armand didn't wait. Get the car, he said. Inside the car, a storm of thoughts as the car sped through the streets. Armand stared out the window, his mind spinning. Why did this little girl remind him so much of his own childhood? He remembered. Running behind his mother, carrying her bag when she was too tired. He remembered writing letters he never sent, asking for help he never received. What if someone had helped us back then? He wondered. He looked down at the letter again. There was one line he kept returning to. Mama says an angel will come. Maybe the angel is you. Those words broke him. He had everything: money, power, respect. But he didn't have peace. He didn't have family. He didn't have someone waiting for him at home. And now? A child thought he was an angel. He closed his eyes briefly. No, he whispered. I'm not an angel, little one. But I won't fail you. Meanwhile, Mira faces another fear while Armand searched the city. Mira sat in class, pretending to listen. Her teacher explained math, but the numbers floated in the air like clouds. Her mind was far away in her small room. Next to her sick mother, the teacher noticed her silence. Mira, is everything okay? She nodded quickly, forcing a smile. Her classmates whispered behind her. Her clothes are old. She's always quiet. I heard her mother is sick. Mira heard them. She always heard them. But she kept her head down. She didn't want pity. She only wanted one thing, to know if her letter reached the man in the newspaper. Her fingers traced the edge of her desk. What if he didn't read it? She thought. What if he forgot? What if I made a mistake? A deep sigh escaped her. She whispered to herself, please, God, let someone hear me this time. The breakthrough moment back in the city, Armand's car slowed down near a public school. Sarah pointed out the window. Sir, this school uniform matches the girls in the video. Armand's eyes sharpened. Stop the car. He stepped out and looked around. Children laughed. Teachers walked by. Gates opened and closed. But he wasn't looking for the noise. He was looking for her. He approached the guard. Have you seen a little girl with a pink ribbon, about 9 years old? The guard thought for a moment. Yes, sir. She came in earlier. Very quiet girl. Sits near the window. Armand didn't wait for permission. He nodded once and walked through the gate. His heartbeat echoed louder with every step. Hallway, stairs, classroom numbers, footsteps, breathing. Then he stopped at a doorway. There she was, Mira, sitting alone. Staring out the window, her shoulders small, her uniform faded, her eyes tired. Far older than her age. Armand stood frozen. This was not just a child seeking help. This was a child carrying a burden too big for her tiny hands. Something inside him cracked, he whispered to himself. I found you. But the next step, the next moment, the next decision would change all their lives. Armand stood at the classroom door, frozen for a moment. He had met thousands of people in his life, workers, leaders, millionaires, investors, but he had never felt this kind of nervousness before. He wasn't facing a business deal. He wasn't facing a threat. He was facing a child, a tiny child, who believed he was an angel. He took a slow breath and stepped forward. Inside the classroom, students were busy copying notes, but Mira was not writing. She was still staring out the window, lost in a world of fear and hope. She didn't notice the tall man standing at the back of the class. Not yet. The teacher turned and almost gasped. Sir. Mr. Armand, here, in my classroom. Armand raised a gentle hand. Please, he whispered softly. Don't say anything. I just need to speak to a student. quietly. The teacher nodded nervously and pointed at Mira. She is the one by the window. Armand walked towards her slowly. Every step felt heavier, filled with emotion. His shoes made soft sounds on the floor. But Mira still didn't turn. When he finally reached her desk, he saw her small fingers trembling. She was drawing. Lines on her book? Nothing meaningful. Just lines that showed she was trying not to cry. He slowly crouched down beside her chair. "Mira," he said softly. The small girl froze. Her pencil fell from her hand. She turned slowly, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. For a second, she didn't speak. She didn't blink. She didn't breathe. She just stared at the tall man kneeling beside her. "Mira," Armand repeated. "My name is Armand. I read your letter." Her lips parted. Her eyes filled with shock. You read it?" she whispered. "Yes," he said gently. "I read every word." A tiny tear slid down her cheek before she could stop it. She quickly wiped it with her sleeve, embarrassed. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know if the letter would reach you. I didn't know what else to do." Her voice cracked. Her hands shook. Armand felt something break inside him. "No, Myra," he said softly. "You did the bravest thing. You did the right thing. But will you help my mama?" she asked in a trembling voice. "She is very sick." "I'm scared, sir. I don't want to lose her." The words hit him like a punch. The room felt colder. The world felt smaller. He placed a gentle hand on her desk. "Myra," he whispered, "I will not let your mother suffer alone. I promise." She stared at him for a long moment, her eyes full of disbelief. "Nobody ever listens to me," she said quietly. "Not the neighbors, not the shopkeeper, not even the hospital. They say we need money, but we don't have money." Her voice grew smaller with each word, like she was shrinking inside her own fears. Armand swallowed hard. He could not believe such a small child carried such heavy pain. "I am listening," he said. "And I will help." Her eyes brightened just a little, but before she could speak again, her body suddenly went still. She whispered, "Mama doesn't know I wrote the letter." Armand understood immediately. "Don't worry," he said gently. "I won't scare her. I will come with you. We will talk to her together." Myra looked down, scared again. She might be angry. "She doesn't like asking for help." Armand smiled softly. "I know someone like that," he said. "My mother was the same." Mira slowly lifted her head. She looked at him carefully, as if trying to see inside his heart. "Are you really going to come with me?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "Right now." Her eyes widened. "Be but school, I will talk to your teacher," he said. "Some things are more important than school." The teacher came forward quietly. "Sir, please take her. We all know something is wrong, but she never talks." Mira felt her throat tighten. She didn't like people knowing her secrets. But today, things were different. Armand stood up and held out his hand. "Mira," he said softly, "can you show me the way to your home?" She looked at his hand. Her breath shook. Her fingers trembled, and then, very slowly, very carefully, she placed her tiny hand in his. It felt like she was handing him her whole world. Armand closed his fingers around hers gently. "Let's go," he said. The children in the class watched silently as the CEO walked out, holding the hand of a fragile little girl. No one spoke. No one whispered, because even children understood. Something big was happening, something important, something life-changing. And as they stepped out of the school gate, Mira whispered softly, "Sir, thank you for coming." Armin looked down at her and replied, "No, Mira. Oh, thank you for calling." They walked together, toward the unknown, toward a small house, toward a sick mother, toward a truth none of them expected, and destiny followed them like a shadow. The road to Myra's house was narrow, cracked, and filled with potholes. Armin walked carefully, holding Myra's hand, but she kept looking down, worried someone might see them together. People stared at the tall, well-dressed man walking beside a small girl with torn shoes. Some neighbors whispered, some pointed, some frowned. Myra felt her cheeks burn with shame. "I'm sorry, sir," she said quietly. "Our place is not very good." Armand shook his head gently. "You don't need to be sorry for anything, Mira." But she still avoided his eyes. They turned a corner, and finally, a small broken house came into view. The roof was covered with old plastic sheets. The windows had no glass. The door hung loosely. Myra stopped walking. Her hand tightened around his. "This is it," she whispered. The house looked abandoned, silent, almost lifeless. A cold fear climbed up Armin's spine. "Is your mother inside?" he asked softly. "Yes," Mira whispered. "But she might be sleeping, or coughing, or she swallowed hard, or fainted again." Armand took a deep breath and knocked on the door. There was silence. He knocked again, louder this time, still nothing. Myra's face went pale. "Mama," she called softly. "Mama, I brought someone. Please answer." Armand felt panic rise inside him. He pushed the door slightly. It creaked open. The room smelled of medicine, dust, and sadness. There were 2 chairs, a tiny table, and a thin mattress on the floor. And on that mattress lay a woman. She wasn't moving. "Mama." Myra cried and ran to her. Armand followed quickly. The mother's eyes were half open. She was breathing, but very weakly. Her lips were dry. Her face was pale. "Myra," she whispered, her voice barely there. Why are you home so early?" Her eyes shifted. And then she saw Armand. The moment she recognized him, her entire body stiffened. She tried to sit up, panicked and confused. "Sir, why are you here? What happened?" "Did Mira?" She started coughing badly, struggling for breath. Armin quickly supported her back. "Please, don't force yourself," he said softly. "You're very weak." But the mother shook her head, terrified. "No, sir. Please, don't misunderstand. I didn't ask her to bother you. She doesn't know anything. I don't want trouble." Her words broke into breaths and coughs. Myra's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, I wrote the letter because you were getting worse. I was scared." The mother covered her face with shaking hands. "I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want help. I didn't want pity." Armand watched her, confused. "Why?" he asked gently. "There is nothing wrong with asking for help." The mother slowly lowered her hands. Her eyes met his dot, and then something changed in her expression. Her voice became small, scared, almost ashamed. "Sir, you don't remember me, do you?" Armand frowned. "Remember how?" The mother looked down at her trembling fingers. "I used to work in your company," she whispered. 10 years ago." Armand froze. She continued. "I worked in the packaging unit. I was young, strong, happy. Then the accident happened." Armand's heartbeat thudded. "Accident? Which one?" "Myra was inside me at that time," the mother said softly. "I got badly injured. A chewing. I couldn't walk for months. A twos. The company gave me a small compensation and told me to rest. But after that, no one called me back. I lost my job." Her voice cracked. "I never told anyone. I didn't want to blame your company. Maybe it wasn't their fault. Maybe it was my fate." Armand felt a sharp pain in his chest. He remembered the reports, the accident. A worker who disappeared after. Taking the settlement, he had assumed she recovered and moved on. He never knew she had collapsed into poverty. He never knew she had a child. He never knew her struggles continued for 10 long years. Mira's mother wiped her tears. I didn't want my daughter to know the truth. I didn't want her to feel ashamed of me. Myra grabbed her mother's hand. Mama, you're not weak. You're not wrong. You're the best mama in the world. Armand felt his throat tighten. He knelt near the mother. I am sorry, he said quietly. The words came from deep inside, real heavy, sincere. She looked at him in shock. You're apologizing? But sir, you're the CEO. I am. A human first, he said softly. And I failed you. The mother began to cry silently. Years of pain escaped through those tears. Armand looked around the room. Broken walls, empty shelves, cold floor. No proper medicine. No food. This wasn't a home. This was survival. He stood slowly. No more suffering, he said, his voice firm. Not for you. Not for Myra. The mother looked terrified again. Sir, please don't take my daughter away. She is all I have. Armand's eyes widened. I'm not taking her, he said. I'm taking care of both of you. Myra's tiny voice broke the silence. Sir, will Mama be okay? Armand went down to her level and placed his hand gently on her head. Yes, Mira, he said softly. I promise. She will be okay now. But deep inside, he knew something. The real storm was just beginning. A bigger truth was still hiding. And this family's pain ran deeper than he imagined. The room felt heavier now. The mother lay weakly on the mattress. Myra held her hand tightly. And Armand stood near the window, trying to control the storm inside his chest. Outside, children played, cars moved, life continued. But inside the small house, 3 lives were tied together by one accident. One letter and one painful truth. Armand took a slow breath. He had come to help a child. But he was now standing inside a past he had tried so hard to forget. The mother tried to sit up again, but her strength failed. Armand quickly helped her lean against the wall. You should rest, he said gently. You're not well. She gave a faint smile. I haven't been well for years, sir. I just learned to hide it. Mira's small voice broke the silence. Mama, why didn't you tell me? The mother brushed her daughter's hair with shaking fingers. Because you're too young to worry. Mira, you already act older than your age. That is my fault too. I should have protected you more. Myra shook her head fiercely. No, Mama, you're strong. You work. You fight. I'm the one who should help you. Tears slipped down the mother's cheeks. Armand watched them quietly. A child comforting a parent just like he once did. He couldn't stop the memory. A small boy, crying silently in a corner. Watching his mother faint after working too many hours, he blinked hard. Forcing the memory away, the mother's hidden truth, after a long silence. The mother looked at Armand, sir. There's something I never told the company. Her voice lowered. It wasn't only the accident that ended my job. Armand frowned. What do you mean? She looked down at her hands thin, tired, trembling. After the accident, after the hospital, I discovered something. Something that changed everything. Armand felt a strange chill. What did you find? The mother hesitated. Her eyes filled with fear, as if speaking the truth might break her. Myra, she whispered. Go get some water. Mira nodded and ran to the small kitchen corner. The mother waited until she was far enough not to hear. Then she looked straight at Armand. When they took me to the hospital after the accident, the doctor told me something unexpected. Something that frightened me. Armand's voice tightened. What did he say? The mother took a deep, trembling breath. I was pregnant. Armand froze. Every sound faded. His heartbeat stopped for a second. "Pregnant," he whispered, "with Mira." The mother nodded. Armin's single quotes' mind began spinning. "Then why didn't you tell the company? We could have supported you. Given medical help." She shook her head sharply. "That's the problem, sir." I didn't know how to say it. Mira's father. He had left before I even knew. I was alone. I thought if I told the company, they would fire me immediately. Armand felt a burning in his chest. "They should have protected you," he said quietly. But she shook her head again. "No, sir. They didn't even know, because I hid it." Armand felt confused. "So you lost your job because? I walked away," she said softly. "I walked away from the hospital. I walked away from the company. I walked away from everything." Armand stared, shocked. "Why would you do that?" Her eyes softened, filled with old sadness. "I was scared, sir. Scared and alone. I didn't want people to judge me, blame me, question me. I thought hiding was better." She looked over at Mira, who was filling a small cup with water. "I told myself I could survive. I thought I was strong enough." Aman looked at the child. "It wasn't your fault," he whispered. "You were trying to protect your baby." The mother's voice trembled. "I failed her, sir. I failed in every way." Armin felt a sudden anger, not at her, but at life, fate, society, everything that punished the innocent. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "You didn't fail. You survived. You protected your child. That is strength." The mother shook her head, tears falling again. "But look where we are now, sir. Look at this house. Look at my health. Look at my daughter's eyes. Always scared, always older than she should be." Her voice broke. "This is not strength. This is punishment." Armand's throat tightened. "No," he said softly. "This is not punishment. This is what happens when people like me, people with power, don't see the ones who need help." For a moment, the room was silent. Then the mother whispered something unexpected. "But sir, I never wanted help from the rich. I only wanted a chance." Armand felt something shift inside him, heavy, painful, necessary. He looked at her and said, "You will get your chance now." Just then, Myra returned with the water. "Mama, drink," she said softly. Armand watched them. A child giving strength to a mother losing hers, and a man realizing he had more responsibility than just running a company, because sometimes helping one small family is bigger than helping 1,000,000 customers. And Armand knew nothing in his life would be the same after today. But he didn't know the biggest shock was still coming. A truth waiting like a shadow in the corner of the room. A truth that would change everything. The room felt warm now. Not because the weather changed, but because 3 hearts in the small house were beating with new hope and old pain. Mira sat close to her mother, holding her hand like she never wanted to let go. Armand watched them quietly, his mind full of thoughts he could no longer ignore. He had seen poverty, he had seen illness, he had seen struggle, but he had never seen love this strong. The love of a child trying to save her mother. The love of a mother trying to protect her child. And the guilt inside a man who realized he had the power to change everything, yet arrived too late. Or maybe just in time. The unexpected revelation. Armin knelt beside the mother again. "We need to take you to the hospital," he said firmly. "Right now." The mother shook her head weakly. "Sir, hospital is expensive." "I cannot." "You don't have to worry about money," Armand said softly. "I will take care of it." Her eyes widened. "Sir, why would you do so much for us?" Armand stayed silent for a moment. Then he opened the pink envelope that he had kept in his pocket. He held it in front of her. "Because of this," he whispered. The mother stared at the letter, her daughter's handwriting, the small star sticker, the shaky spelling. She placed a hand over her mouth as her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know she wrote this," she whispered. "Mama," Myra said softly, "I didn't want you to get angry, but I didn't want to lose you." The mother hugged her tightly. "You won't lose me," she whispered. "Not now." Then she looked at Armand again, her eyes full of confusion. "But sir, you don't even know us. Why help us so much?" Armand took a slow breath. "I know enough," he said. "I know what it feels like to watch your mother suffer. I know what it feels like to be a child with no one to protect you. And I know what it feels like to wish anyone would help." The mother stared at him. Shocked, Myra blinked. Surprised, Armand looked at the cracked wall, remembering a past he never told anyone. "My mother was like you," he said. "She worked until she collapsed. She hid her pain. She pretended to be strong. And I was like Mira, scared, confused, trying to save her." His voice softened. "But no one came for us." The room fell silent. Even the air seemed to stop. Then he looked at Mira. "Your letter was not just a request. It was a mirror. It showed me my past. It showed me a pain I thought I forgot." He placed a gentle hand on her head. "You asked for help. And for the first time in my life, I wanted to be the person I wish I met when I was a child." The CEO's promise Armand stood, his voice strong now. "Myra's mother," he said. "From today, your life changes." The mother shook her head, tears falling again. "Sir, please don't make promises you cannot keep." Armand smiled gently. "I am making a promise I will never break." He listed them one by one. "You will get full medical treatment, a new home, a job in my company when you recover, and Mira will get a full education scholarship." Mira gasped, the mother covered her face again. "No more fear," Armand continued. "No more hiding, no more pain. From today, you are under my protection." "But why us?" the mother whispered. "There are many people suffering." Armand looked at Mira. "Because your daughter reminded me that sometimes one small letter can save a life." Mira hugged him suddenly. Small arms, tiny hands, soft tears. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. "You came. You didn't forget. You didn't ignore me." Armand gently hugged her back. "No, Myra, I didn't come to save you. You saved me." A new beginning. Hours later, an ambulance arrived. Doctors carried Mira's mother carefully. Armand stayed with Mira, holding her hand so she didn't feel alone. As the ambulance doors closed, the mother looked at Armand one last time. "Sir, why are you doing all this?" Armand smiled, the first real smile he had in years. He held up the little girl's letter. "Because this letter didn't come from a child," he said softly. "It came from an angel." Myra blushed, wiping her tears. "And angels," Armand whispered, "deserve miracles." The ambulance drove away. Armand and Myra watched it disappear around the corner. The wind moved gently. The world felt different, because a powerful man, a sick mother, and a brave little girl were no longer strangers. They were a new family, connected by pain, healed by kindness, and changed by one small letter. The letter that brought the CEO to tears and gave 3 lives a new beginning.